showing up for people in their best moments and their worst moments is how do you deepen that?
Yeah.
And for me, that is, if you invite me to your wedding, I'm gonna go. Like this is how we're now on the same wavelength. Like we're in each other's lives.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody to the most underground punk rock podcast in the world. If you're listening to the show, you probably are the most punk rock person in your friend group because you dare to listen to an Asian podcast. Don't you know that being Asian is illegal now in this country? Okay, the FBI, don't look now, the FBI right behind you, all right? That cute boy you thought was flirting with you, FBI agent. A lot of FBI agents are pretty cute, I'll just say.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, don't you know being Asian is illegal? Who do you think you are? But real quick, before you get arrested, if you make bail, go to Hack City. The next one is March 14th. I think this episode will be out by then. It's a lot of fun, and I'll be there. Jenny will be there.
I'll be there.
And who knows? Who else? Who knows who might be there? Maybe your FBI guy will be there.
Ooh, little crush.
I think that's a really fun one. I think we can bring Julia Stiles back, and it's like
Julia Stiles?
Yeah.
Or do you mean Julia Shiplet?
No, Julia Stiles.
Oh.
This is a movie. I
thought you were talking about Last Hack City.
Oh, no. Yeah. Julia Stiles will be back, and she is, okay, so she's a revolutionary, and the FBI's on her, all right? But she falls in love with her FBI handler spy guy. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think
Chalamet is the guy.
Okay, why is it Julia Stiles?
I just like Julia Stiles.
Okay, that's the most elder millennial pull.
I know, I'm so old.
It's because you love the Bourne Identity.
Oh my God, I love the Bourne Identity.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh my God, that is also the most elder millennial thing I've ever heard.
I'm sorry. You watched that movie and tell me you didn't have a boner the whole time.
I did not have a boner the whole time.
Whatever. Well, anyways, if you're listening, please come to the show. Again, it's March 14th, Union Hall in Brooklyn, and tickets available at Asian.AsianPod.com, or Google Hack City Comedy, or go to the episode link description. And if you're listening, please be sure to give us a rating on the Apple Podcast app or on the Spotify app, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Be sure to tell your friends, take a screenshot, post it up on your Instagram stories or on your Reels or whatever you need to do, because we as the now called Redacted, Not Redacted podcast, we are extremely underground and we need your money. So, and you can do that also by, you can also donate to the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Asian.AsianPod. It's the best way to support our resistance / my children. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're very cute. They need it.
They're so cute. If you become the highest tier Patreon subscriber, you might get one of them. Okay, that's that's the highest level tier. You get a
child.
Kid.
Yeah, you get a child.
It's crazy. Yeah. Anyways, we're just gonna bring on our guest because he's a friend of the pod, right? Mm-hmm. He's a business dude at Defector Media, which makes him, I think, more famous than us.
Oh, for sure.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He's a comedian. He's a drinking buddy. It's Jasper Wang.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys,
Thanks
in this
for coming.
sweltering hot room, even when it's 30 degrees out.
It is
It's
so
so
hot in here, and I'm in
hot in
head to toe heat tech.
I am-
Legs covered in heat tech.
I'm so hot. Yeah.
I'm glad we ate those cookies immediately because they would have
would've
melted
melted?
by the end of this episode.
100%.
Jasper brought us some delicious
Levain.
Levain cookies.
Yes, and I'm hungover. That's my little secret. So I really needed them right now.
Is it helping you? Were
Yeah.
you eating a lot of sugar?
I think I need to put something in my stomach.
You didn't eat anything?
I had oatmeal.
That'll help, I guess.
But yeah, I was kind of in the middle of like feeling myself drop. So I'm back, baby.
This
Let's
is a great
go.
Levain ad.
Yeah, it
get
is.
into podcast sponsorship, Levain.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Yeah, you know how they want to target. Actually, I think the hungover demographic is wildly underserved. So I think it's a great idea. See, that's why you're the business guy.
Yeah,
there we go.
exactly.
Business guy.
Good marketing plan.
Look
All
at
right, here we go.
Consultant, drinking buddy, comedian. We can get right into it. Do you want to go first, Jasper? Do you want me to go first? What kind of redacted were you this week? Or
I'm happy to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of redacted were you this week?
I was a dumped redacted this
Oh,
week.
what?
Oh, what does that mean?
Okay, so I've been with my wife for 12 and a half. I should be faster about this number. Like a lot of time. So the feeling of being dumped is not something that has been in my life for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, yesterday, so I am a small business owner.
Uh-huh.
We have a lot of vendors. We have a lot of outsourced things we need done. Yesterday morning, I get an email out of nowhere from one of the vendors dumping us.
What?
Wow.
Like, this is a vendor I talk to once a month for the last 4 years. And just out of nowhere, like, I am ceasing my representation of you.
Wow.
And I picked up the phone and I called him and he sent me the voicemail and I emailed him back. I was just like, hey, okay, received. I would really appreciate some understanding of what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And he just replied, thank you for understanding, and then did not call me.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
It's like nothing even mattered, all that time and you spent together.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I genuinely am like, you were at the very beginning of the founding of this company, effectively, and now we're just done without even picking up the phone. It's just like a curt email.
Wow. So you don't even know the why.
I don't know the why.
Wow.
I think...
And
That's
I
the
sort of
worst
asked
type of
around.
dumping.
I have introduced other clients to this vendor, and I asked those clients, like, did you get dumped today? And they were like, no, we have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, okay, well, not to put you in an awkward position, but next time you talk to him, I want to know, make him give you a secondhand explanation. Like, I want to know at least some amount of what the hell happened here.
Yeah, this is like a relationship.
Well, I think your problem is that he's often seeing other businesses, you know? So he's cheating on you.
Sure, yeah.
But communicate that.
Yes, this is ethical, non-exclusive vendor relationship.
Okay.
Of course, he has other clients. no, this is purely understood. But I'm like spinning out the last 24 hours of like,
what did you do?
Like, what did I do?
Yeah. That you can't just dump without an explanation. That's cruel.
Yeah, right.
Because now you're thinking about it.
Yeah, no. But like, I otherwise trusted his judgment this whole time.
Yeah.
And
you let him into your life.
Yeah,
and you let him into your business.
Exactly.
Do you have any
it was very
idea?
intimate. He knew all of our numbers. He knew all of our stuff. Like, yeah.
Is there any other thing? Maybe you like were seeing other vendors or something like that, and he didn't like that or something?
He has introduced us to a lot of other vendors. One thing I liked about working with him was he would be like, this is not my specialty, and I know somebody in my network who would do this better for you. So, yeah, it's like very open, very honest, we had a very transparent relationship of like, what do I need and what are you going to charge for it? And does that make sense to pay you to do it? And so it's very like, he was like, hey, I'm moving my rate up, or like, you guys aren't giving me enough business. Like, we could have had a conversation.
I know.
Like, let's talk about it.
I just don't know. Yeah.
Dumped.
And you never had that ever happen before with like, I don't know, in the business world, right? Usually there is a conversation of like, hey, I'm going to give you a heads up.
For sure.
Unless, I don't even know what, you know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of these contracts are like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day opt-outs.
Yeah.
And this was not one of those. Like, we don't have an ongoing contract. And so I've had people say I'm opting out. And I'm like, oh, okay. But by the way, I've probably seen it coming. And we probably had some amount of conflict and tension.
Right.
This is like truly out of nowhere. No tension the last time I talked to him. And like just immediate, as of today, I no longer represent you.
Do you think you're going to see him at parties and stuff? I'm serious, like, you know, it'd be
I think if I went...
oh shit, there's
oh my god, don't make eye contact.
There's DGA LLC. Oh my god. He's with another
don't
media
look right
company.
now.
Oh, shh. Do I look okay? I should have worn my other sweatshirt.
I think I am gonna keep inviting him to our parties.
And
just put the power move. Like, hey,
petty.
No hard feelings
Yeah.
unless you happen to listen to the Redacted, Not Redacted podcast. Yeah. Like, okay, I don't have any problem with it. Just if you would like to show up, and then if he showed up, he'd be like, what's the deal?
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I mean, I don't love that you got dumped, but I love that move.
Well, I want this person to, you know, one day, very soon, you're just chilling in bed, and then all of a sudden, like, you hear a little like rock on the window, and you open the window, and he's standing outside. He's holding his MacBook Pro up. Yeah. It's raining, and he's just like, "Hey, I was wrong. Okay, you're 80% of my revenue."
There's a contract.
That's
on
crazy.
On the laptop.
Yeah. There's a docu-sign. I'm gonna send it to you. You can't resign. Please sign here, and then make sure to hit your initials on these 2 boxes. So. I don't know if it matters, but or if you want to say, like, what area of vendoring is it? Can you say?
I'll tell you off mic.
Okay.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay. But it was this dude's been around, or this entity's been around for a long time.
Knows the business, knows all my coworkers. Yeah. Just out of nowhere.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I feel this episode is going to be a very good kind of relationship oriented thing.
Which I think I love to talk about that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And it's a little different from, hey, we're talking about vendor relations.
Yeah, we could talk about any type of relationship.
About, male. Yeah, men on men. Relationship between men. Yeah, I mean, I think, wow. Okay, well, I want to keep us posted.
Please.
All right. If you see this vendor out in the streets, okay, everybody, you text us and let us know.
Yes.
All right. What's going on? Okay, great. Yeah. I guess you can ask me what kind of.
Yeah. What kind of Asian were you this week, Mike?
Kind of.
Oh, sorry. What kind of redacted were you this week,
I was a New Jersey redacted. Okay. Speaking of relationships, I feel this is a very New York thing. I think if you really want to take your friendship to the next level, you have to visit your friend in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. That is like a really big move. Mm-hmm. I think so. What happened here was my friend who they live in Queens, but the family lives out like their larger family lives out in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. The wife is from New Jersey, and they're having their second kid. Mm-hmm. And they are the wife is South Asian. She's Indian, and so they do things big.
Sure.
They do big stuff.
Sure.
They didn't get to have a full wedding because it was right when the pandemic was hitting. I watched the live stream of their wedding at a bar while they were getting married. I was watching on a phone.
Okay.
Because we couldn't go to it.
Sure.
It was in New Jersey and it was the pandemic. And then when they had their first kid, it was also like pandemic. It wasn't as like crazy as it was before, but it was still like there. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't go to that. Mm-hmm. And so now we could, they sent us out an invite. Hey, can you come out to New Jersey? Can you, we're going to have this thing. And my wife and I were like, I don't know if we want to go out there. It's a bit of a drive.
Yeah.
But like if you're really homies with someone, you'll go to New Jersey for them.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And so, and also, full disclosure, I knew the food was going to be banger because it was in one of these like fancy event venue places. I can't remember what it was called, but it's called like the DiMaggio. You know what I'm saying? It's something like that. And all the food was like vegetarian, Indian food. It was all delicious. But I packed my family into the car. It was a Sunday recently that was storming. You guys remember? It was like pouring.
Yes. Driving
through Staten Island to get to New Jersey. Not exactly a romantic time.
Sure.
But, I was glad I went and it was fun and it was good to see them. And we have a lot of mutual friends, so it was good to see a bunch of those people. And, it's those kinds of things where you want to talk about what kind of friendship you have. Are you at the level where you will drive out to New Jersey? Mm-hmm. That is a big one. That's a big
real.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a person who grew up in New Jersey, I still think that is the case.
Really?
Like, even though I like New Jersey and like am in New Jersey, I'm still like, I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to ask anybody. I was thinking about throwing my mother a 65th birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
At my childhood home in New Jersey, and I was going to like invite my friends too. Yeah. And my wife and I both came to like, they're just not going to come.
Yeah, I know.
There's something, I don't know what it is, that's like, because I drove there. And it was a Sunday, so there was like traffic wasn't too bad. There was a storm, but there was no traffic or light traffic, and it's like an hour away, right? To where we went to Somerset. And even when I do comedy, I can get from even using like the subway to the PATH train and get to Jersey City or whatever I need to go to very quickly, faster than I can a lot of other places in New York.
Yeah, right.
There's something about the Hudson River that you're just like, oh, I gotta cross the Hudson River.
Yeah.
You feel like you're invading another country.
Yes.
And it's just like mentally, it's just hard to do.
Yeah.
Going through the Lincoln Tunnel is like doing the Severance, like, that's my innie and my outie as I'm going through the Lincoln Tunnel.
100%.
Yeah, but I'm glad I went. And Ricardo, if you're listening, which I doubt it, but if you are, you're welcome, buddy. And thank you for the food. And it was a great time.
Sounds
that's all.
delicious.
That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
So that's what I was. Jasper, you're here. You shot us a text, and I liked your bow. And you had this interesting topic. I want you to kind of bring it up for us. Mm-hmm. And let's just start from there.
Okay, cool. So I was listening to your last season finale of Redacted, Not Redacted. Back then we could call it what it was.
Right. We could call it something else. That was when we were legal.
Yes. That same day, I was reading the cover article in The Atlantic, which is called The Antisocial Century. So just this very extremely long piece about just like, the loneliness epidemic and just how difficult it is to make and keep friends. And it's true across like every age, but it's still true for adults.
Right.
And as I was listening to you guys, it occurred to me, I have both social relationships with you and parasocial relationships with you. And I was sort of like, I don't know that Jenny and Mike, when they talk about stuff, anxieties, issues, that like worrying about friendship is something that is top of mind for you.
Oh, interesting.
And so I just felt like your audience might be interested in hearing your perspective as people who like maybe feel okay about how it is they make friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm sure you guys also talk about, but like you guys are also in phases of life, different parts where you could imagine that being stressed.
Yeah.
Having 2 young kids.
Yeah.
Jenny, you've been going through family stuff that can often make people feel isolated, but like it doesn't necessarily come through in the way you talk about these things. And so I am going to infer that you guys are decent at making adult friends. I think I am decent at making adult friends. And I think this is just like a good conversation.
Wow.
That's so interesting.
Do you want to start it off as like how to make new friends? Because I think I'm pretty good at it. I'll give you some examples, but I don't know. Do you want to jump off from there?
Sure.
Do you feel you're good at making friends?
I think I'm incredibly good at making friends.
Interesting. Tell us more.
I also think I'm not just good at there is one step, which is making friends. Then there's 2 that's sustaining friends.
Oh, yeah.
And like actually having a friendship afterwards. And I've seen people who are very good at number 1, which is like being able to text, like getting a hang on the books, and then you're like, I'm a friend, and you like follow each other on Instagram, and you like talk over DMs only.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the camp of like, we're going to text and then we're going to get dinner one-on-one. That's like my strength, I think.
Yes.
And then like sustaining it.
Yeah.
But I will say that only happened very recently, post-pandemic.
Okay.
Like pandemic was part of it. And I've talked about it a million times on like both different podcasts and this one. But I think I would say that I was not good at making friends in my youth because I was shy and nervous and like insecure and scared of being rejected. And then I started doing comedy stuff in San Francisco. I kind of like became my own person. But then I would say I entered the phase of like, I met people I really like, but I wanted to appease them so badly that it was like this lopsided friendship where I was okay with an unhealthy balance where I will be fully devoted to them and like show up and like help them, but then I don't necessarily need anything back, which is not sustainable.
Yep.
And then the pandemic hit, all my big friendship breakup happened. And then now I think I'm incredibly good at it because I know what boundaries look like and what like good balance looks like. And also I'm not afraid of getting rejected anymore. Like if I reach out and I'm like, oh, let's hang out. And then that person's like, oh, I'm busy. And they like never try. Then I'm like, okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like I tried my best because I thought they were cool and we'd get along. But if they don't have the bandwidth for it, then like I don't need to chase that. And it's not a reflection of me.
Yeah.
But like that, but I would say that was the evolution of how I learned to make friends. And now like pretty much if I'm interested, I don't feel weird about like DMing or like texting. And being like, hey, can we grab dinner one day? Like I don't feel too scared of that anymore.
Yeah. I like the piece you say about being okay with being rejected. Because I think that's a big one. Like I think a lot of people, they put themselves out there and then the other person, isn't getting back to them or giving them the right energy or whatever. And you feel bad about that because you're like, I tried. Or like, it's hard for me to find people that I like and I like this person as a friend. And you don't get that. You feel disappointed. And that's a bummer. You know?
I think there's I think that's totally true. People are fearful of rejection. I think that is a residual of like school age times.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I tried to be friends with this person and they rejected me. And now they're like telling all these people that they rejected me.
Yes.
Versus like in real life, that like, who are they they're going into the group chat and like, this person made a bid for human connection. How weird is that? Like, no, there's no version of that is like additional fallout. Like you just tried and it didn't happen and like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school thing, I mean, so much of what we learn it when we were at school, we first like experience it. And school is such a crazy one because everything you do stays in that group. Like everybody knows. Right? Like if you date someone and you break up, everybody sees. And you have to keep going back to that. And the whole like kind of, I don't know, I haven't been bullied in a long time, but probably because I haven't been in school a long time. Like I can't imagine someone trying to bully me Except like, I don't know, a mean internet commenter or something
Sure.
like that, right?
Well, teenagers walking by you on the train.
It is so scary.
Yeah. Which is like, hey, I welcome that now, At least you noticed. So, whereas before it's like, I kind of run it through my mind a lot of times, like, how would you deal with someone who was like not nice to you in school? It's really hard because you see them all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas like even at work, you can kind of like set up some parameters, like, avoid them or whatever. Anyways, but Jack, do you feel like you have a hard time making friends?
I am pretty good at making friends. Now that Jenny has self-identified as such, I'm also comfortable. Not bragging. We're just going through our own criteria. I think I basically have 2 rules, and I'll tell everybody these that they should adopt some of this. Mm-hmm. One is, if somebody invites you to do a thing, especially if it's on a weekday, actually try to do the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, granted, I don't have kids. I work basically a 40-hour week. My evenings are very much my own.
Yeah.
But like, it's so easy to default to just, I'm not going to leave the house today.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like they gave you an opportunity to do a thing. So you should try to do a thing. Like, they're like, whatever version of that, right? Like, let's get a beer, let's get dinner. Maybe it's lighter stakes. Like, hey, I'm meeting some friends out to watch this game if you want to meet us there. Even like, I don't know, go to a conference happy hour or like whatever version. I have an extra ticket to a show or a reading or whatever. Like, try to say yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't default to no.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the second thing is always just send the text. Like, if you think of somebody, if it's an old friend you haven't texted in a while,
This
I like that.
Don't be like, oh, it's so weird we haven't been in touch in 2 years. Like, you saw a meme, you thought it was fun it would be fun for them. Just like send it.
Yes.
Send it.
Just like, oh, do you remember this thing that we did 10 years ago? Such a fun time. Just like send it.
Yeah.
No one is upset about hearing from an old friend. No one is upset about hearing from a new acquaintance who's trying to deepen it. Just send a text.
Yeah. Wait, Jasper, those are also my 2 things. But my text one is a big one.
That's a good one.
And I've been doing that for a while now. Like, even if it's like a high school friend, I had a dream about them. This happened like I remember like in 2018. I was like, I had a dream about this friend. I haven't seen her in like 6 years. And I reached out. And that kind of like started like okay. And then she would reach out slowly. And then we like hung out again and like kind of rekindled that. And I was like, if I just reach out, no one's mad. I love receiving random texts.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also love receiving random texts.
I actually, now that we're saying it, Jenny, you and me becoming friends maps very well.
It's because we both did that. Yeah.
Because we're both good at so Jenny and I did not know each other before the last time I did the show, which was
a while
ago. We started following each other on Instagram. Uh-huh. We would occasionally just like react to each other's stuff.
Yeah.
My company had a party, and I sent the particle to Jenny over Instagram.
Yeah.
She actually came to the party.
I did go,
brought a friend, came to the party. We exchanged numbers, and then we became text buds. Uh-huh. And now, it's totally fine for us to hang out. Like, we got dinner together a couple months ago. Yeah. Like, we're now friends.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I used Jasper's tickets to go to the Liberty game.
I love that this is such a multimedia friendship. It's like every single way to communicate you did. We sent a carrier pigeon.
Yeah, but don't you feel like you do that with people I feel like that's like friendship now, because I would say most of my friendships kind of started like that in like the last 5 years. It almost always starts with like a DM on Instagram being like, like I'm doing this thing, or like I'm gonna be in the neighborhood where you are, like where you work or whatever, and then that slowly becomes like you hang out once, and then you like have commonalities in that conversation, then you like text that person like, thinking of the thing we talked about, and then you like it just like builds.
Yeah, but I do like. It sounds like for both you, and I think for me too, ultimately you're trying to get it to the point where you're hanging out in person.
Yeah,
because that's like the highest level thing. We're going to a game. We're having dinner. You and I, we have drinks. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like that's the ultimate goal. Even if like most of the time it's just texting or DMs or what have you. But like that I think implicit acknowledgement that I'm going to burn an evening, right? Just hanging out with you. That's a huge deal, right? Is there anything in the article that kind of got you thinking about this more? Like, was it, because what does that mean? Like antisocial?
Well, the idea here is just that, like, between pandemic as one thing, but mostly as a matter of phones, like people just spend so much more time at home on their phones.
Yeah.
But like we are a social creature and we actually want human connection. And you know, online connection is a form of human connection for sure. But like IRL is the real thing that like
That's
makes
the real
people
one.
feel good.
Yeah.
Like to be social in person.
So true.
And we're like, those skills are sort of atrophying.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's like all sorts of structural reasons. Like, you know, our governments don't invest in local third spaces anymore, right? Like,
yes.
For sure, there's structural things, but a lot of it is like your individual behavior. Like if you want to be, if you want to have a village, you have to be a villager also. And like you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So as always, like, you know, we have our privilege. Like we live in New York. We all have money. Like we can make, like there's a way to do it. There's a lot of people for whom those things can be true and they still don't feel like they have the skill set to go and do that.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm just trying to make it real.
I feel that's a key word I want to hone in on here is skill set. Because like, what skills do you think you need as an adult? Because like this is a thing, and I feel people don't realize that it is a skill. You know, I think people just think like, you know, you meet your buddy and you just like hit it off right away, and it just kind of goes from there. And sometimes that's true, but a lot of times you do have to do certain things. So it's interesting to think like, oh, it's a skill, and there's a set of skills I need in order to do it. I think as comedians, we like as a secondary, we, you know, develop those skills like on accident, I guess you could say, because we're at shows, we're talking to people. You have to do a lot of quote unquote networking. But I wonder what other skills you guys think, you know, are necessary for friendships, adult friendships.
Hair thinning is a very common, very frustrating problem that many men deal with. From stress and nutrition, to hormones, to lifestyle, so many internal factors affect what you see on the outside. Luckily, Nutrafol is here to help. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and women that are tailored to different life stages, such as postpartum or menopause, and lifestyle factors, such as a plant-based lifestyle, so you can get just what you need. Physician-formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code ASIAN. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code ASIAN. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code ASIAN. You know you're getting old when you're legit excited to be talking about a mattress. Like, I think in my 20s or 30s, I would have been excited to tell you about, hey, maybe this new whiskey you got to try, or you got to check out this restaurant. No, now I'm all about mattresses. And that's why I'm telling you about my Helix Sleep Mattress. With 2 kids, trust me, I need my sleep. That's why I love my mattress. I'm a big snorer, and I've got a lot of back issues because I'm a 41-year-old Vietnamese dad, and Helix had the perfect mattress for me. I started by taking the quiz. You can go to the website and take the quiz, and after just a few questions, it matched me with the Helix Dusk. It'll probably match you with another one. It's got all the right stuff for me and my wife. Since getting the mattress from Helix Sleep, my back is feeling better, and hey, my wife isn't mad at me every morning. I mean, she still is, but for other reasons. So if you got to check it out. Go to helixsleep.com/Asian for 20% off everything on the site. That's helixsleep.com/Asian for the spring savings event. helixsleep.com/Asian.
I mean, I think it's like intentionality, and you have to kind of be organized in a way. I'm not saying, I mean, I'm inherently very organized, so I'm obviously talking from my brain, but I feel like the people who struggle with friendships are maybe like not putting enough intentionality behind it and like reaching out actively and like sustaining that that like connection as well, if that makes sense. Like it like takes effort. I think we have like a misunderstanding. I think for some reason we think romantic relationships deserve effort, but friendships maybe don't.
Totally.
Because that's the way we were like told. Like you work on like a romantic relationship is number one. Your partner is your number one. You put effort towards it. It requires time, and that's good. But we never talk about friendship that way. I think conversation is shifting that way, but I think like a lot of us didn't grow up thinking, oh, you need to put effort into like this too to make it build.
Yes.
And so the ones that like tend to go by the wayside for me are the ones where like I feel like no effort is put in. Or like I don't get the random text until I randomly get like, let's do something. And then no plan is put in place.
Yes.
And I'm like, it doesn't happen unless I do it. And I get tired. I'm like, I can't keep doing the effort part.
Yes.
So I would say that's a big skill that I've noticed for me when I tend to like lose friends. That's where it comes from.
I think intentionality is like the perfect word. It's like intentionality, initiative.
Yeah.
You have to like build space and time and effort into doing it. I think the like person to person skill that some people don't think about is like just ask good questions.
Yeah.
Just like it's not about dazzling each other with like being the most interesting person in the world. It's just like feeling connection is often just feeling like the other person is interested in you.
Totally.
And, you know, then some people will be like in the comment section for these sort of like how to make friends, people will be like, you're like so manipulative. You're asking like you like this whole toolkit. And it's like, no, that's just like, sorry, that's just like human connection comes from like asking each other. Like if you don't feel unnatural asking somebody a question, that's like really an indictment of like how you're interacting with people. And but like all of us could be a little bit more thoughtful about how it is that we want to like show up and make somebody else feel good. And like our presence.
Just have curiosity.
Yeah, I think this is why a lot of times I've only recently discovered this because I've only recently become a fan of football, and now I can talk to people about the Jets. And
finally,
sorry, it's a rough. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but it's rough going.
It's rough, but it's like it's something It's pretty safe to talk about it, and it's not political. It's just like people get worked up about it. And that's kind of a good thing. You want to get like kind of worked up when you talk about something. And so it's like a little avenue. Like I feel, when I first meet someone, I'll bring up certain things to see if we have like a super topic that we're into. It's either jiu-jitsu, watches, football, right? Is there something where I'm like, oh, we can have a 15-minute conversation now just on this one topic, and we'll like go back and forth, and like I'll learn a lot about this person, even if it's a well-tread topic, I guess you could say.
Right. I think I sort of think a red flag is when people are like, I hate small talk.
Oh, I love small talk.
Like, what do you mean you hate small talk? You want to immediately be like, do you believe there's an afterlife? Like, no. We're like,
I feel that's a very Reddit way to do it. It's like if you ask someone on the internet, how do you make a human connection? They'll hit you with like the most crazy cosmic. But, like, what happens after we die?
Those are like the worst dates, where like the other person's like, I don't do small talk, and then they like do what they think is deep.
Which
is that? It's like, so do you believe heaven exists? And it's like you don't know anything about me.
Right.
You don't know that I'm wearing head to toe heat tech right now.
Yes.
That's important context.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think small talk is necessary. I do think though, like especially, I mean, not to make this gendered, but I do think men tend to get stuck in that part.
No,
where
absolutely.
you only talk about sports.
It can be easily be a crutch.
Yeah.
Where you end up just doing that, and like you can't break through because people are so walled off.
Yeah.
And then you need to be able to branch off into other things. But when you first meet someone,
totally,
you want to make them at ease.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? You talk about this thing. Like
find your commonalities.
Yeah. Like I have, once you have kids, like you can talk about kids for a long time, and you can easily just kind of get stuck at like the dad level friend.
Right.
And it takes a little bit longer to get to, like you have to kind of understand if they have the same values as you, right?
Totally.
So it's like, you kind of drop, oh man, Bernie Sanders, huh? Right? You just say it, and you don't say anything. And if they're like, "Fuck Bernie Sanders," you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the cupcakes, bye."
Yeah.
Or you can get into it, and you can invite him to like the co-op or whatever after that. So like you are kind of actively listening to understand like where's this person sort of stand on certain things, and how can that work?
Right.
And I think if you do that, you'll be surprised because it will oftentimes it's someone who you may not think we're going to be friends, right? Like they're different from me in whatever way. But if they have the same values as you in a lot of ways and the same sense of humor, then that can like go a long, long way.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the other piece from asking questions is also revealing stuff about yourself.
That was another thing I was going to say. But yes, I want to hear
because
what
I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about themselves, so they almost find comfort in asking you questions, but then it's not this mutual thing. It's like an interview. And so I think the other part of like where I learned to make better friendships is like being able to like talk about myself, not in this like all-encompassing like I'm gonna take over the conversation, but just like literally reveal parts of yourself.
Yes. No, I think
it's just
really
like
huge.
that's literally just like it's like a mutual thing. You have to have curiosity in the person, but also be willing to share yourself.
Yes. I feel to almost take that a step further, the biggest one that really cements a friendship, and this goes back to my New Jersey story, is sacrifice, where you give something up. You know, you give something and they now owe you, right? Quote unquote owe you. But you had to have surrendered something. So like I surrendered, you know, usually it's your time, right? Or something, right? Like I took a hit on this, right? And I think there's an unspoken thing then that, you know, but it's very vulnerable. You're like, you're sacrificing something. And that I think though, like creates a lot of bond because now the other person, you know, it feels it, right? They, you know, they are indebted to you.
Yeah.
And debt, I think, is a tricky
This
thing.
is such a male way of talking about it.
No,
I
there is-
sacrificed something and now they feel indebted.
There is something. It's sacrifice might be too big of a word, but there is a certain amount. Like
you invested.
Yes, there's this story about Benjamin Franklin where he had
now
like
it's
a rival.
a dude story.
Yeah, I know.
Now it's a dude story.
And I forgot that.
American history, baby, 1700s.
Yeah,
Let's
Wait,
go.
I'm with two straight dudes right now talking about this. I'm like, yes.
Let me get on my flannel shirt and we can talk about Ben. Okay, no.
Okay, so Benjamin Franklin had a rival who he was like, we shouldn't be rivals, we should be friends, and he asked the rival to borrow a book, and it was just like he understood the psychology of like. I asked you, I like was vulnerable by asking you for a favor. You did the favor. In your head now, you're like, oh, why would I do a favor for somebody who I don't like? I must like him in some way.
Yeah.
And then they became buds. And I think the modern version of this that I've actually come all the way around on is, so my mother-in-law, again, I've been with my wife for a long time. My mother-in-law, she and her friends in their 60s in SoCal, they all still try to drive each other to the airport.
Oh,
cute.
That's a big one.
Like 10 years ago, I would be like, why would you do that? Uber exists. Like, it's so ridiculous to expect anybody to drive you to LAX.
Yeah.
And I've actually come all the way around to it where I was like, that is the nicest thing you can do for a friend.
Yes,
like,
yes.
What could be more visibly committing to this friendship than like, I will sit in traffic with you. I will plan ahead.
Totally.
We will have a one-on-one conversation.
And you'll rely on me.
And you rely on me, and I can rely on you.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, sometimes my mother-in-law still drives me crazy because she'll offer to drive somebody to the airport, and then the person will take her up on it, and then she'll be like, she wasn't supposed to take me up on it. Like, I have to go do it. I'm like, well, don't offer it if you weren't intending to do it. But if you are offering it and you have that space, like, what a nice way to spend an afternoon, assuming you can spare that time.
Totally.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's like the big thing you're giving up or whatever. I mean, driving to LAX, that's not just time. That's like a mental health issue also. Like you will go a little insane doing it, but that means a lot. You know, it goes giving a kidney, driving to LAX. It's like it's 1-2.
100%.
That's a huge one. You know, that's really crazy.
I feel like I don't know if it's just a function of living in New York. And also just us being millennials, but do you feel like the framework of what a friendship is like so different than like what's around you? And so my example is, I think my family is very much like, and maybe it's Japanese, you don't really ask for people for things because like you're not supposed to ask for things unless they're your immediate family. You can ask to get picked up from the airport or whatever, but that's not something you ask a friend because that's an outsider. And I think like I grew up in that framework. And as I get older, and maybe it's just here, like I've gone to the hospital for my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like we just don't have the network here, like family here. So I just got used to that. I was like, yeah, I'm the emergency contact for my friends because like we live in New York and that's just what it is. And like slowly I've like kind of been like, oh, it's okay to ask for help and also to help in that way, like in like a family level way for things. And I feel like that's such a healthier like community mindset than like I'm only allowed to ask my blood relatives for things. But I wonder if that's just me. Like, am I in a bubble right now? Or is this like, or also it was my other family framework like not real either? Or is it just not even a Japanese thing? Maybe it's just an Arimoto thing. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, in particular, the hospital thing, I really relate to that. There's something about New York, I think you're right, where because you're usually like taken out of the family context you're from, right? Now you're with strangers and stuff like that. But this is going to sound very morbid, but like seeing someone at a hospital or taking them to the hospital or whatever, visiting them, that really that's like a whole other avenue of friendship that most people don't see, right? You're taking someone someplace where they're very vulnerable. Right. Like they are literally hurt or something like that. And a lot of the deepest relationships I have come from I visited this person in the hospital or I did something for them, took them there or something like that, because that is like, that's a real bond. Right? That's some real shit.
Totally.
Like even for people I thought were close, now you're close. Yeah. When they're wearing something with no back, it's like that's some real shit.
100%.
So I don't know if you have like things like that, but for sure I think about my deepest friendships and even relationships. It's like this is you really are doing something there too. It's an unpleasant place to go.
Yeah. So. No, I think the showing up for people in their best moments and their worst moments is how do you deepen that. Yeah. And for me, that is. If you invite me to your wedding, I have been to something like 55 weddings in my life.
Holy shit.
My
God.
A
lot of those were like, I was probably the last man on the invite, but I'm like, if you invite me and I can afford it and blah, 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 like I'm going to go. Like this is how we're now on the same wavelength. Like we're in each other's lives.
Yeah.
Similarly, if somebody's has a death in the family and they're like, these are the funeral details, always try to go to the funeral.
Oh yeah. The funeral I think too is, it's almost like it's a mark of respect for them to invite you. It's like, I want you to come to this, you're part of my life. And it would really mean a lot. Yeah. And you just showing up, you don't even have to do anything. It's a huge deal.
My dad died 15 years ago. I still remember every person who came to the funeral. You gotta go. I don't hold it against the people who didn't come, but like absolutely. I know who was there. Yeah. Like 15 years later, I still definitely can picture that.
That's real shit, man. Do you feel like that's why sometimes I kind of changing gears, like I used to write for that website Some E-Cards. Yeah. So I used to write for them, and the thing
I go no.
It's sort of like ironic or like sarcastic cards. It's like greeting cards that are all jokey.
They're all jokey greeting cards. But like one of the biggest ones that every like week you had to submit a bunch of jokes. And the ones that were always picked were a version of "I'm so glad you canceled plans," right? Like at last minute. That's like always the one. Yeah. That, like my favorite date is the one that gets canceled. Like that's like a classic joke. Yeah. And so I would always see these, and I'm like, damn, do people really like canceling that much? I personally hate it.
Yeah, me too.
When people cancel, I almost never cancel. I actually remember the last time I did, and I felt terrible about it. And I have had a good reason, but I still felt really bad. And I haven't texted that person again. They haven't texted me back. And I feel like I need to make it up. But is it like very normal? I don't know.
Increasingly, it feels like since the pandemic, like the TikTokification of life, there is just a lot of like, yes, canceling plans is the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
And again, this is sort of like, there's so much stuff in the world we can't control. It's all structural. But some of this, like, cultural stuff, a lot of it is just like individual choices and like the norm setting we make within our communities. And like, if you want to change that, you have to lead. And I agree. Like, no, if we made a plan, I want to do the plan. Right. Yeah, for sure. Canceling last minute is like a big,
especially last minute. Especially last minute. I'm like, especially for once you have a family and shit. Like I had to, I invested probably money in this,
Yeah.
you know, in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
I still remember, actually, they're a good friend of mine, but somebody canceled plans on me. This is earlier on in the relationship, and I was like, damn, this is like cold-blooded. I've like bought food and stuff, you know, like, and I was like, this is very mean, you know, like, and so I'll see it like on the internet now. It's kind of in the same vein as kind of ghosting. It's like this thing where you're just gonna avoid the messiness of like a human interaction, which is like, I guess what technology is all about.
Right.
You know?
I mean, Jenny, you're a little bit younger than me and Mike. Like, do you feel that among your social groups of like, yes, can't, like, the joke is canceling is good.
Yeah. Also, do you know who Brain Franklin is? You understand that, right?
Well, I'm a woman, so I didn't. I was struggling with that one, but yeah, I feel like, well, one, the talkification of a lot of things. It's like the conversation becomes almost like protect your peace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard, like, have seen the conversation being framed that way. It's like, it's almost like protect your peace, like don't let people do these things to you, whatever it is. And it's almost like encourages isolation.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you protect your peace that much where you don't have to have any conflict or deal with anything that's not good, like that is frustrating to you, then you're just going to end up alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is part of like feeling lonely, is like feeling, I don't know, like you're just like, you don't know how to deal with those things. Like the fact that someone else is another person with their own life and priorities, etc. So I do see that. I feel like I have in the last, like, obviously since my big blow up happened in 2020 with my friend group, I have like made a distinct effort to only make friends who show up for me and like don't cancel on me like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also like allow myself to be myself in the worst days and the best days. So like I can come to the table and be like, I don't feel good right now. And I have the space to do that. So I feel like because I've made a very intentional decision in the last 5 years, I don't see the bad behaviors as much. With that said, if you rewind back to 2016, I was surrounded by that behavior. It's like show up 30 minutes late to a reservation that you made at a restaurant that we agreed to. It's like that type, like where you can't sit down unless everyone's there.
Yes.
And then I'm like, feel like so disrespected. I'm like, what the heck? Like, why did I have to make the reservation, not just stand here for 30 minutes? Like that kind of behavior.
Yeah, being late, I think that's such a disrespectful thing. I get it. Sometimes people are late, but like I wasn't late.
Exactly.
You know?
Or like the last minute cancel, which is like after you prep stuff, like, or like moved things around actively to prioritize them. Like, I feel like that has not happened to me, but I've been very intentional in making sure that that does not happen anymore. And like being very like active in choosing people who I think are good and healthy for my life.
Yeah, that's good.
But I do think the whole conversation about like protecting your peace, I get to a certain extent, but to the other extent, I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah.
You will have conflict.
It is, there is like a thing, you know, it's like a big social technology is sort of like sped it up, but like the sort of atomization of like human existence is like we used to live all in you know a bigger group, a bigger family group, a clan or a village, and then like it's gotten smaller and smaller, and for sure like it's easier, you know, like I think the American dream isn't to own a house, it's to live by yourself. And you know, like I'll go and visit my family and it's messy and it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of tension sometimes.
Sure.
But like that is part of having a family, right? That's like the whole thing. And in this crazy time, like having a group like that, a family and having friends in that community thing, it is very part of the resistance. You know, I'm going to say it. It's part of the resistance, right? To just be, to have a circle like that, because it kind of, you know, it resists the pressure, I think, to just be by yourself, which I think is like what a lot of this is all about. Anyways, the other thing I wanted to talk about is I think about all the time how, I don't want to say unusual it is, but I think about how you and I are friends. And I don't know, if you put it on paper, I am in my 40s, I'm married and I have kids. And I am friends with this, until recently, single Japanese, you know, young person living their life.
Thank you for calling me young.
Well, you don't know who Ben Franklin is.
Yeah.
No. And I like one time I remember we went out and we had drinks. We had, you know, and it was just us in the West Village. And I was like, I feel pretty unusual.
I understand what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like we're just buddies.
Yeah.
But in I just don't see those things like, I don't know, portrayed in movies or talked about a lot. It's just like we're just two people who are pretty different.
Yeah.
We're similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In the redacted way.
Uh-huh.
But we're just like homies. And
right.
I think it's cool. And
I
I
think
think
it's
it's like
cool
a big, I don't know, I've always felt it was kind of a big deal because of like, we're not really supposed to be friends, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be like shooting hoops at the Y.
I know. Well, there was one day after we recorded where you're like, I'm going to go to this Vietnamese bakery, like with the family.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to come? And I was like, sure. I hopped in the car. This is before your daughter was born. Yeah. And it was just you, your wife, and your son, and me in the backseat with your son. And then we hung out at the bakery, and I like walked around.
I remember that.
And I was like, this is so funny and so sweet, but also random.
Yeah, it is.
It feels random. It's like this thing that connects us is like this podcast and like doing comedy or whatever. But now we've just like, we're just friends now.
Well, like even my wife, I remember that night. Or that day, and Gina was like, does Jenny feel bad hanging out here? We're so lame and stuff like that. But it's like, I was trying to remember that, that's just something, I think the expectation is like, a single young person in New York shouldn't be hanging out with a family. Yeah. Because we're so, look at us, we have a station wagon.
No.
And you should be out there doing drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, at 2 p.m. on a Saturday.
At 2 p.m. on a Saturday, time to do drugs.
No, I thought it was great. And I was like, how sweet is it that we're just like people outside of this?
Right.
I think there's a couple of great things about that. One is just like the activities you do as friends don't have to be super planned. It can just be like, hey, I'm running some errands. If you're not busy, do you want to come with me?
Yeah.
Like that is really important. And then like, I feel this acutely. I'm in my late 30s. I don't have kids. Most of my friends have kids. And it's just like, the tension of accommodating.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I are very much just like, we'll just hang out with you.
Yeah.
And like we'll put the kids to bed at some point and then, we'll do our own thing. But like, we do as a society have to, like, again, you have to be the villagers in order to build the village. And like for that kid, for that family, like if you want to be part of their village, like you do have to go along for some of this stuff, even if it's not that convenient. Yeah.
Right. I agree. It's like, I don't mind at all. I love hanging out with your family.
Oh,
I'm trying to get in there even more.
You are.
Because they're all getting old fast.
They
and I'm like,
old.
I don't think your son remembers my face. I got to freaking get in there.
You can get it. You can get in with Celine. So it's fine.
But I love that. And I think friendship, I don't know. I love the topic of friendship because I think it's getting discussed more and more. But I do think it's like gotten me through most of my life at this point. And I think there's just not enough like focus or understanding of how important it is to feel like you're part of something.
Yes.
And to feel like you're supported.
Yes.
Outside of like family and romantic, which I think is discussed a lot.
Yes. Yes.
But it's still like much like dating, it's like an active choice you have to make.
Yes. So with that, I think like maybe we end on like for people out there, they're trying to either make friends or sustain friends. What's like the two actionable things, things they could do to be like, hey, you could do this now. I think maybe it's like, whatever, send a text. I love that one. That's very simple.
Truly just send the text.
Send the text.
Or sometimes I just literally respond to the story.
Oh, respond to the story.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like both ways. It's like just like whenever you have a thought, reach out.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like if you see someone's story and you think that's cute, instead of clicking to the next story, just type that's cute.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's it. You already thought it.
Yeah.
You're not like sitting there being like, oh my God, what am I going to send? It's
totally.
just whatever your reaction was.
I've transitioned friendships to phone call friendships as well to like take that to the next step.
Wow.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I like just started regularly just like being like, can I call you?
Yeah.
And so I have like probably 5-6 friends that are like regular call friends.
I actually kind of miss that part of the pandemic when people used to like do the Zoom call or the FaceTime call and hang out for a longer.
I still do it. Like if I go on a walk and I want to talk to somebody, I'll try to call someone who's maybe not in New York, just to catch up. Like do a 15-minute catch up.
Yeah.
And then that like keeps the door open for the next catch up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then it just like shortens the time between like the time that you probably are going to see that person.
Yeah.
That's my little tip. I love a phone call though. So
I love the phone call. Yeah. I like that idea. Yeah. Jasper, you got any tips?
I have one thing I haven't said yet that I definitely want to put out there. Yep. And then I actually watched a beautiful early friendship emerge yesterday. Okay. And I want to use that as an example.
Okay, go.
So the first thing is, so research shows if what's holding people back is they feel anxious and they're like, what if they don't like me, et cetera, et cetera. Research shows that we underestimate our own likability. So there's these studies where it's basically like two strangers talk to each other, and then you rank how much you like talking to them, and you rank how much you assume they liked you. And across data sets, on a 7-point scale, we underestimate our own likability by a full point.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, I like that person a 6 out of 7. They only liked me a 5 out of 7.
I see.
And so just like probably whatever you think you thought was weird, they glossed over. They didn't think it was weird. Even if they thought it was weird, it was fine. They were like very happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
So that's one. It's like that is research backed. It's called the liking gap or the likability gap or something like that. Like we just don't know.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I went to the Whitney Museum for Free Friday. By the way, if you happen to want to watch every second date happening on the island of Manhattan, Free Friday at Whitney is where it is.
Gotta go.
Yep.
It's just so many people having like enthusiastic but awkward interactions.
Oh my God.
The whole time.
Nothing makes me want to go more than that.
Yes.
Just like you see all these guys where it's just like their body language is like the worst thing that could happen today is that I fart. Noticeably.
And
Please don't.
And if they laugh, it's a really big laugh. Like,
Yes.
So funny.
Yes. So I was there last night, and they, on the permanent exhibit on the 7th floor, they do like mini tours every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I happened to see the end of a mini tour. The tour guide was like a 60-something-year-old man. And this guy on the tour, also probably about the same age, and he was just like so effusive of like, I just had such a great time, and thank you so much for your information about the art. They start talking, the tour guide lives in New York City. The guy who's on the tour is in Syracuse, and he's like, I try to come down to New York City once or twice a year.
Yeah.
They end up talking for like 10 minutes. And at the end, the tour guide was like, let's exchange numbers.
Whoa.
Next time you're down here, come back to the Whitney. I'll like show you around, or like we can get coffee or something.
Wow.
And they exchanged numbers. And I was like, this is
Whoa.
amazing.
And then for older people too, you know?
Right.
That's
you just
hard
have to
to
be
do.
open to the world. You have to be open to the interactions around you.
Just open your heart, guys.
Yeah.
This is a Hallmark movie, man. You know?
Life can be a Hallmark movie.
Life isn't done with you.
Yeah.
Okay? Just the likability scale.
That's so cute.
Starring Sandra Bullock. And who did I say? Julia Stiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's nice.
That's a very nice
That's great.
one. Yeah, my tip would be start a podcast. Yeah. That is the big one.
That has helped me a lot.
Trust me. I'm doing a couple of podcasts, just like, my friend, Vic Tran has one with Art Kai, and I'm trying to get on my other friends, Patrick Holbert's podcast, and I listen to them, and it's a lot of times because I want to hear my friend.
Yeah, you're just trying to stay up on your friends' lives.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go on their podcast just to hang out.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey guys, let's put the microphones away and play PlayStation instead. How about that?
Yeah.
I think... this is obviously I'm joking, but like we got everything we need for friendship. We got high quality microphones. We have 4K recordings.
Yes.
Okay. We have topics.
Yeah.
And we just hang.
Yeah.
And this is
This is an SNL sketch.
Is it?
It's like getting men to talk about their feelings. It's like you get a podcast set.
You get a podcast set up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His first podcast setup.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we can be friends. If you're listening, I think you're all friends of mine. So, I don't know, hit us up, leave us messages, ratings, all that good stuff. It's, tell your friends about it. Let's build this little village. It's part of the resistance now. You are now part of the resistance. Remember, as a listener to Redacted, Not Redacted. Also, follow us on Instagram at Asian Not Asian Pod. I'm on there at Nice Pants Bro.
I'm at Jenny Arimoto.
Jasper, what's going on with you?
I'm at Jasper C. Wang on Instagram. Follow Defector Media and Normal Gossip everywhere you would.
Nice.
Amazing. All right. And that's it, I think, for now.
Yeah.
All right. We love you.
We love you. Bye.